Good evening. If the quality of the microphone sounds better, it's because I am using my dad's microphone rather than just my phone's microphone. So next week my mic might be shittier, or maybe it'll be better. I guess just keep in mind that it might fluctuate week to week. Ideally, I invest in a microphone in the coming weeks. But it's a new year, 2026. I've been wanting to upload for a while now, but I went back home a little under a month ago, and I just haven't had the time. Or, to be more honest, I haven't made the time. I've been in a weird mood recently, as I'm sure most people are at this time. I think from Christmas till a week or so into the new year, everyone feels pretty out of sorts, so I'm doing my best to grant myself kindness for occasionally forgetting that the world still spins elsewhere, despite my being home. In my case, I live very far away from my childhood home, so I don't travel back often. And given that 2025 was a pretty exhausting year from start to finish, I viewed coming home as a sort of light at the end of the tunnel, quote unquote. As I've been home, it's lived up to that name. I've relaxed, I've rested, and I've reconnected with folks from my past who I haven't seen in years. It has been really wonderful. However, it gets to this point where I'm forced to wonder, when do I get up again? When do I begin working again? Perhaps this is difficult to understand as a listener who doesn't know the ins and outs of my life. The gist of it is that I'm in a position where no one tells me what to do. I must determine how to spend my days. I must determine how I make my money. I'm the master of my own fate, which can be both freeing and horrifying. I'm an artist, a creative, and if I want to make money, I must create. And yet, recently, when I've tried to sit down and create, I haven't. Specifically, I struggle to create what I know I must create to earn a living, rather than the side projects that I do for fun. Even the script that I am writing that will eventually turn into the video I upload is a side project. Unless, of course, I blow up and make tons of money off this, but given that I have 0 subscribers, I guess I shouldn't count on that. So that's where I'm at. Back home, with a strong urge to create sitting quaintly alongside an inability to create. It's quite the pickle. Again, I ought to give myself some grace here. Sure, it'd be great if I started the New Year's with a bang of creativity, but it's difficult when your days are spent chatting with old friends and hanging out with family you see once a year for maybe a couple of weeks. Yes, it's okay to forego creativity for a moment in favor of resting and giving myself time with my loved ones. Sure. I suppose the problem stemmed from the fact that I'm not very financially stable. As an individual, I am pretty much broke. However, I do have a loving family that supports me as much as they're able, and I'm of course incredibly grateful to them. Nonetheless, I can't rely on them forever. I'm at that sort of awkward point in my life where I'm both too young to be expected to run an entire business or be some CEO, but old enough where I should probably start making my life my own, or just not being tied to my parents as much as I am now. Some might say I shouldn't be worrying about this so early in my life. Well, I'm sure people who moved out on their 18th birthday and got married early and everything would say I need to lock in. The reality being, of course, that there is no guidebook here. I just need to take things at my own pace. That doesn't mean kick back, but it does mean giving myself room in order to not burn out. I'm not quite sure how to end this one. I hope it doesn't come across as a downer of an episode. I'm not depressed or anything of that nature. I'm just feeling a bit stuck, I suppose, despite being in full control of that stuckness. If I didn't want to be stressed about money, I could and should just sit down and start creating the project that will get me paid. It exists, and I could do it, but I don't. I play games, I read, I write, I doom scroll for God knows how long. If anyone's out there listening, I would love to hear any sort of advice you have on just locking in when you need to, because I struggle so much with that. I know there's apps that help with it, like Hank Green's Focus Friend, but it's just not enough for me. In my perfect world, I'd have someone standing near me at all times that smacked me in the face every time I reached for my phone or distracted myself from the task I need to finish. But it seems that person will have to be myself, and I'm just not the disciplining type, I'm afraid. If I could end this episode on a good note, I suppose it's that this video exists at all. I mean, if you're listening to or watching this on YouTube, that means I did create something, even if it's not some monumental project. I sat down, I typed a script, and I'll make it into a video in the coming days. So, if you're like me, and you also have some project you know you ought to be working on but can't, perhaps just start small. Maybe you can challenge yourself to sit down with a pen and paper and write poetry, or a scene with dialogue. Maybe you want to challenge yourself to draw for 5 minutes straight and simply see what your mind conjures up. That way, even if it's small, and even if it isn't the big project you want to work on, you can go to bed knowing you did create something that day. Maybe you work on it more the next day, or maybe you don't. I think the bigger picture here is that as long as you're creating something every day, every couple days, maybe just once a week, or whenever you feel the desire to create, that is something notable and worthwhile. Remembering that is imperative in the face of wallowing in this pit of despair and thinking you're not doing enough, because ultimately, we were never supposed to do any more than merely exist in this world. So to spend any amount of time creating, that is what it means to live. I think that'll be it for today. So I'll talk to you soon, and until then, please take care of yourself and be a light for others. Good night.